Golden Plum friends. Today let's make a drawstring sunglasses bag. I'm going to use some of this I Love This cotton from Hobby Lobby. This is such soft cotton yarn and it makes such a nice finished product. So you can use any kind of needles that you want for this. You can use long straight needles. You could use a circular needle and just work back and forth. I'm going to use these double point needles. You do not need double points. I'm just using them because they're nice and short, and this is a very small project, so I don't need a long needle. I'm going to cast on 15 stitches, and I'm going to do it with the long tail method. So let me show you how I do that. I make a slip knot and leave a tail. This is probably longer than I need for 15 stitches, but I'd rather have too much than too little. If you are sort of new to knitting, I recommend using both needles when you do your cast on, because one of the things that a lot of new knitters do wrong is they make their cast on too tight, and so this will help you make sure it's loose enough. So to do this, I've got the short piece in front and I've got the working yarn in back, and I'm going to grab both of them with my fourth and fifth finger and my thumb, and then I'm going to put my first finger and my thumb in there to spread them apart like that. To do the long tail cast on, you go around the front one from the front, around that third one from the back and pull it through. And then if you're using both needles, you can pull it fairly tight. If you're only using one needle, make it a little bit loose. Okay, let's do that again. We're going to do 15 of them that way. Front, back, through, 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 front, back, through. How many do I have? I have 9. Let's do 10, 11, 12. Whoops, make sure you got both of them there. 12, need a little bit more yarn. 13, 14, 15. Okay, now you've got this long tail. Most people don't enjoy weaving in ends when they finish their products, so I'll show you what I do with that to get rid of it. Now if you used both needles for your cast on, pull one of those out and you'll see you have a nice loose cast on. That's going to keep your project from pulling at the front. Alright, to get rid of that tail that I don't want to have to weave in at the end, I'm going to knit with both strands on the first row. You'll never be able to see it. So I'm going to do a knit stitch. And I'm just going to knit all the way across using both strands to get rid of that long tail that I don't want to have to weave in later. I hate weaving in ends. I think most of us do. It dropped there, and that's okay. I'll continue with the long piece. You'll never be able to see what I did, but I just saved myself from having to weave it in later. So that's my first row. Now I'm going to turn it. I'm going to do my second row. Starting with the second row, I slip every first stitch. Every row, every first stitch I slip. I do that because that's going to give me a nice tight end with which I'm gonna stitch it together later to make a bag. So I'm gonna slip that one. I'm purling here, so I'm gonna slip that as if to purl, and then I'm just gonna purl across. Now when I get to here, I've got to catch both of those strands because I knitted with 2 strands here. Okay. Now for the 3rd row, I want to put in some eyelets because this is going to be a drawstring bag. So to put in the eyelets, I'm going to slip that first one. I always slip the first stitch. I'm going to do a yarn over and then knit 2 together. I'm going to do that all the way across. Yarn over, knit 2 together. Yarn over, knit 2 together. I'm going to go all the way across like that. To the end, I've got my last 2 stitches, knit those together. Now when I turn it to work across the back, I still have 15 stitches, at least I should, 5, 10, 15. Now I'm going to slip that first stitch, always slip the first one, and I'm just going to purl across. Now I have an eyelet row, and that's where I'm going to weave the drawstring when I get to the end. For the rest of this piece, until it measures 7 inches from the cast on edge, I'm just going to work stockinette, which is, whoops, almost forgot, slip that first stitch. I always slip it as if to purl. I'm just going to knit across the front. Pull out some more yarn, and then I'm going to purl across the back, always slipping that first stitch so that I get a nice tight edge on the piece. If you work that first stitch instead of slipping it, you may have noticed that your edges tend to be a little bit loose and loopy, but this makes them nice and tight and neat. You can see how, whoops, I split my yarn there. Let's go back and fix that. There we go. So you can see how that edge is nice and tight and neat on both sides. So we're just going to work even in stockinette stitch until we get a 7-inch piece. When you get to where your piece is 7 inches from the cast on edge, we're going to work a row of purl across the right side. Normally you would do knitting across this side, but we're going to slip that first one. Oops, let me get that out of the way. We're going to slip that first one and then bring the yarn forward and just do a purl row. This is our turning row. That row of purls is going to give it a nice firm edge where we turn. Okay, then we'll turn. And the next row, we'll just purl as we normally would. This is the wrong side. This is the inside of the bag. So we're going to slip that first one and just purl across like we normally would. to working stockinette stitch, and we're going to continue working in stockinette stitch until our piece measures about 6.5 inches from this turning row. You're working backwards now. This is going to be where it turns, and you're working back up, and we want to stop right before what would be the eyelet row. Now I've gotten to where I'm ready for another eyelet row. So I'm on the right side again. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to slip that first one, yarn over, pull a little bit more yarn out here, and then knit 2 together. I'm going to do that all the way across, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, all the way across to make another eyelet row on this side. And then I'm going to turn around and do my purl row across, slipping that first stitch and then purling the rest of the way across. Second eyelet row done. Now I just need another once across the front and once across the back, and then I'll bind off. Let's go ahead and do that. Slip that first one, knit across. I find these small projects really satisfying. You can knock one of these out in really just a couple of hours, depending on how fast you knit. These glasses cases make really cute gifts. To bind off. I'm going to bind off across the right side, and I've got a really nice even edge after the eyelet row. So let me bind off and knit. Done with this piece. Then we're going to do a little bit of sewing and make a cord to run through the eyelets for our drawstring. Once we've completed the knitting, you can see we have the very nice edge for the turning for the bottom, and you want to sew the sides together, and there is a stitch called a zipper stitch, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It makes an invisible seam along the side, and it works perfectly with stockinette stitch. So I'm going to start by just weaving my needle here on the inside. I have a knotted thread, and this is going to be at the bottom. No one's ever going to see that. But then I want to work in the horizontal bars of the stockinette stitch. So you can see in the line of knit stitches here, there's a little horizontal bar. So I'm going to go up that one, and then I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing through that horizontal bar, and then that's going to draw those close together. Now it works well, this works well for a sweater. If you're stitching a sweater together, you're just going to go back and forth from one edge to the next. So now I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Pick up that little horizontal stitch there. Whoops. There, that's the one I want. And I'm going to just zipper up the side just like that. So after you've finished sewing those, you have a nice, almost invisible edge on both sides, and you have a bag. I like to add some charms to the side, so let me show you how I'm going to do that. I have a needle that's threaded with a double strand, and there's a knot on the end. I'm going to take a little charm, and I'm going to thread the needle, but I'm going to thread the needle through the charm and then through the loop at the end, so that the knot holds to the top of the charm. And then I'm going to thread my beads on. And then I will just stitch this on to the top here. And take a little knot. Oops. I'll do that again. And then just bury that little bit of yarn. And the last thing we need to do is add the drawstring. I like to use a contrasting yarn for the drawstring. So I have this nice Aqua bag. I'm going to use this darker teal for the drawstring. And I am going to cut 3 36-inch pieces. That sounds like a lot, like it's very long, but this twists up and you lose a lot of the original length. So I'm going to cut again 3 36-inch pieces. I have an 18-inch ruler, so I'm just doing it twice across that ruler. There's 2, I need 1 more. take these 3 strands and I'm going to knot one end. "36" is pretty manageable for me, so I'm going to hold the end that's not knotted. The other end, I'm going to put my finger in between a couple of the strands of the knot, and I'm going to start twisting. It's going to take well, I just dropped it. If that happens, if it happens, just start over again. Hold the knotted end and twist the knotted end. Takes a lot of twisting. I did a video on this, on making these ropes or cords, and I had a number of comments about how to do it more quickly. One person suggested using your beaters, like you use in the kitchen, blender beaters. Another person suggested maybe using a power drill. That scares me a little bit. You could try it. I don't make enough of these cords that I need to come up with a powerful, quick way to do it. This works for me. So I'm just going to keep twisting. You can see it folds back up on itself, but you want it to be super, super twisty. Okay, when you have it super twisty, and it's just as twisty as you can get it, you're going to bring those 2 ends together, the knotted end and the not knotted end. Don't let it unwind. Hold those 2 ends together, and then let the rest of it curl. And it will make this nice cord like that. I'm just going to retie this end a little bit shorter than the original. And then I'm going to trim the ends like that. And then we are just going to weave this in through the eyelet row. Once you've got that woven all the way through, I like to tie it one more time and one more knot. Let that other knot just get buried in there, or you can take it out before you tie the bigger knot. And then snip open the end that's still twisted. And then fray that very end. So you have a nice fluffy end on it. If they're not quite even, you can trim those a little bit. And then you have a wonderful little case for your glasses or your sunglasses or your readers. You can slip them right in. And you can even hang that from your rear view mirror if you want to. So that is how you make a quick knitted sunglasses holder.